Hello everyone, my name is Roberto Julio Fernando Alejandro Lecer Dávila Ortiz del Campo Llorens Torres Alicia Montalvo, but you may call me Robbie for short. And today, we're giving Pokemon teams to the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 1. This is an ongoing series with many more Drag Race seasons to cover. Make sure to subscribe to stay caught up on new videos. And without further ado, let's get started. Our journey through this region begins with Gothy Kendoll, the first gym leader. While her drag name is derived from the word goth, giving her a dark type specialty didn't feel super interesting. Instead, every goth and emo friend group has that one pyromaniac friend. Fire cannons are also common in rock concerts, and Kendoll sounds similar to kindling. Her first Pokemon is Ponyta, based on her talent show performance from UK vs. the World Season 2. This is the performance that convinced me to make her a fire-type trainer. Plus, her hair is in a ponytail, which made the choice of Ponyta that much funnier to me. Her second Pokemon is Growlithe, based on her Queen of Your Hometown runway. Growlithe's design is arguably close to a tiger with its orange coloring and black stripes, which reminds me of her really soft-spoken roar.
Do the roar!
The world is a scary place, especially for a pussycat riddled with anxiety. Scaredy Kat is our second gym leader, and she sports a team of normal-type Pokemon. Her first Pokemon is Skitty, based on her look for the grand finale. This look is meant to represent her best drag, which perfectly encapsulates her namesake. Skitty's color palette is also pink, just like most of Scaredy Kat's looks. Her second Pokemon is Tandemouse, based on her unaired weird science look. This outfit is inspired by the concept of a rat cake, which I won't get into here because it's actually really disgusting, and there is no such thing in Pokemon. Rat and mice are distinct creatures, but they belong in the same family of rodents. I also really enjoy the concept of having a cat and a mouse as her Pokemon team. Our third gym leader is Vinegar Strokes, whose drag name comes from a slang term that references face reactions similar to one you could make after smelling vinegar. I went towards the more literal route, however, and chose Poison, since poison can send you into a stroke. Her first Pokemon is Weepinbell, paired with her Queen of Your Hometown runway, for the yellow color scheme and wavy fabric that reminds me of its sleeves. Vinegar has a lewd sense of humor, as evidenced by her drag name. Weepinbell evolves from Bellsprout, the 69th Pokemon in the National Pokédex. Her second Pokemon is Bloom, based on her unaired Day at the Races look. Bloom once again leans into the literal definition of a stroke, since Vinegar's drag name references how one could drool while having a stroke. Her final Pokemon is Roselia, based on her unaired weird science look, for the pattern of flowers all over this garment. Simply put, Roselia is the most appropriate Pokemon to pair with a flower-themed look, and flowers are gifts that are typically given to people who have been hospitalized. Our next gym leader. Something wrong with my gym leader.
We have new information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Ting Wong.
Ting Wong is our fourth gym leader, whose drag name comes from an American news report that turned out to be a prank about a missing Asian plane in which all the crew members had plays on Chinese names.
The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed.
I thought fighting could be an interesting type for her, considering how Asian characters in media are stereotypically portrayed as being proficient in martial arts. That makes her first Pokemon Mindfu, based on her look for the grand finale, for that connection to martial arts that I just mentioned. Ting Wong is a play on the phrase something wrong, and she chose this drag name as an act of reclamation, similar to how Nymphia Wind chose the color yellow to identify her drag. Her second Pokemon is Paldean Tauros, based on her Queen of Your Hometown runway. Ting is from Birmingham, home of the Birmingham Bulls, who are an American football team based in the British city. Please let me know if I'm wrong, because there's an ice hockey team also called the Birmingham Bulls in Birmingham, Alabama. That was a mouthful to say, but I'm not from the UK. I don't know. This choice was quite obvious for the bull motifs of the big horns and giant nose ring. Her final Pokemon is Toxicroak, based on her weird science runway. For this pairing, I thought of how Croagunk's main attack was Poison Jab, and I associated the concept of injections with the sharp claws on Toxicroak's hands. They say diamonds are a girl's best friend, but have you ever tried Crystal? Crystal is our 5th gym leader with a rock-type specialty for the obvious nod to crystals being made of minerals. Her first Pokemon is Larvitar, based on her red carpet look for the season premiere. Her eye makeup is similar to the edgy black markings below Larvitar's eyes. I also enjoy how Larvitar and this dress look side by side given the green color palette. Even the poses look quite similar. Her second Pokemon is Lairon, based on her weird science runway. I mainly focused on the metal plating that Crystal's wearing on her crotch and left arm. Her final Pokemon is Solrock, based on her posh on a penny look. This look reminds me of two things: sundials and those gold spherical looking compass things that we sometimes see in fantasy settings, like the Golden Compass or Magic the Gathering. I had to look up the name. They're called Armillary Spheres. Solrock being shaped to resemble the sun fits precisely with these references because the planet revolving around the sun provides us with cardinal direction and the concept of time. She's the Queen of Essex, and for Cheryl, any hole is truly a goal. Cheryl Hole serves as our 6th gym leader, sporting a team of flying-type Pokemon for her dancing abilities since birds are often associated with dance. Her first Pokemon is Flamigo, paired with her unaired Luck Be a Lady runway from UK vs. the World Season 1. I took the literal approach of pairing this pink-feathered Pokemon with a dress that has pink feathers. While Cheryl is from the UK, flamingos are a sort of unofficial symbol of Las Vegas, famous for its casinos and slot machines. Her second Pokemon is Hawlucha, based on her promo look for Canada vs. the World Season 2. For which the theme was Wrestling Superstars. Hawlucha is categorized as the wrestling Pokemon and is based on the common trope of luchadors with their colorful masks and over-the-top wrestling moves. Also, whoever took this picture of Cheryl for her promo needs to be fired. This is a terrible pose at an unflattering angle. She deserved better. I could have taken a better picture. Her third Pokemon is Ninjask, based on her entrance look from UK Season 1. I don't know why I'm vibing with this pairing so much. I guess I enjoy the black fringe as a loose representation of Ninjask's wings. I also see a resemblance in the black color palette and the red lip as the accent on the wings. Her final Pokemon is Oricorio in its Baila style, based on her grand finale look for UK vs. the World Season 1. This is one of the most beautiful outfits Cheryl has ever worn, and it subtly reminds me of the kind of dress worn in tango performances. Oricorio is categorized as the dancer Pokemon, which is perfect for Cheryl, who was known for her dancing skills on the show. Baga Chipz is stunning. Baga Chipz is class. She thinks she's the people's princess, but she's just as charming as broken glass. Grating, sharp, messy. Those are the words that come to mind when I think of broken glass, and those are the same words I would use to describe this stale bag of chips. Wow, I really went in on her. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Baga Chipz is our 7th gym leader because she's much better than every other gym leader in this lineup. Well, except for one. Her drag name is a spin on Bag of Chips, which are typically made of potatoes, so I gave her a team of grass-type Pokemon. And let's be honest, if there was a potato Pokemon, it would definitely be a grass and ground type. Her first Pokemon is Meowscarada, based on her Kitty Girl runway from UK vs. the World Season 1, for the obvious association with cats in this runway category. Meowscarada's dark typing also gives meaning to Baga's mischievous behavior on the show, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end of this segment. Her second Pokemon is Eldegoss, based on her Day at the Races runway from UK Season 1, for the large cotton fluff crest that resembles her wig for this look. I like how the yellow color scheme complements this Pokemon, and she's even wearing a scarf that resembles Eldegoss's yellow cloak. We know the Galar region is based in the UK, which makes this pairing even more perfect. Her third Pokemon is Sunflora, based on her work of art runway from UK vs. the World Season 1. This look is inspired by one of Vincent van Gogh's famous paintings, Sunflowers, which naturally reminds me of Sunflora. This painting also makes me think of Brassius, one of Paldea's gym leaders, because of his avant-garde view of the arts. Her final Pokemon is Garganacl, paired with her makeover look from UK Season 1. Garganacl's signature move is Salt Cure, and its design is based on salt crystals, which are often used in potato chips. Her partner for this challenge was her mom, who received her drag name of Saka Spuds, which is another word for potatoes, of which chips are usually made of. This makeover look was so rough, she landed in the bottom 2 for that episode. And during critiques, Baga made seemingly demeaning comments about her mother, which also reminded me of the idiom to rub salt on the wound, because salt makes wounds sting. For our final gym leader, Divina de Campo, I've chosen a water-type Pokemon team, as her drag name is inspired by the late drag queen Divine, who in turn inspired Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid. If Divina is 20 times the drag queen she is in the outside world, I bet she's 100 times the trainer she is in this Pokemon League. Her first Pokemon is Primarina, paired with her Queen Elizabeth Realness Runway. Tell me anybody else who can sing at a 4.5 octave range, because I can tell you right now, no other Pokemon can sing opera the way that Primarina can. I paired it to this runway for the blue color palette and pirate-looking headwear. I know the order of the garter is something completely different, but I'm not British, and this is a Pokemon team, so it's not real. Her second Pokemon is Dragalge, based on her weird science runway. Tell me anybody else who can sing in 5 languages, because I'm sure Dragalge, as a former water type, is able to understand how to synergize with the rest of this team. This look is one of the main reasons for Divina's water typing, and the algae all over her outfit made this choice perfect. Her third Pokemon is Slowking, based on her Posh on a Penny runway. Tell me anybody else who can do all those other things while doing the splits. Well, I guess any other Pokemon with longer legs could do the splits. I really enjoy the giant beach umbrella in contrast with Slowking's red and white collar. Plus, it felt necessary to highlight this incredible look that won her first challenge. Her fourth Pokemon is Ludicolo, based on her Queen of Your Hometown runway. Tell me anybody else who has 15 years of experience directing production shows, or in Ludicolo's case, 20 years. Divina is from Brighouse, known for the famous Brighouse and Rastrick Brass Band, which reminded me of Ludicolo's 20-plus year history as the arguably most iconic dancing Pokemon due to its appearance in Pokémon Colosseum. Pokémon Colosseum Girlypoplocke starting on April 17th.
Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Robbie for short.
I also like how the small white flowers reference Ludicolo's grass typing. Her final Pokemon is Milotic, based on her look for the grand finale, as the scales on its tail resemble Divina's dress, which has the pattern of the UK flag. Does this mean Milotic is the official mascot of the UK? Because with Milotic's red wig and cream-colored body? I don't think. Great job! We've defeated every gym leader. Now let's find out which Pokemon our final challenger will face you with. At last, we've reached our final challenge. One more trainer to face before receiving the coveted title of Pokémon League Champion. Blue Hydrangea is a campy queen with a very colorful wardrobe. Other Pokemon trainers tend to underestimate her, but she utilizes that prejudice to her advantage. Behind that charismatic personality is a tough strategist, ready to beat any challenger she faces. Let's start with her first Pokemon, Florges, based on her entrance look from UK Season 1, and build a team around it. While deciding on a champion team for Blue, I focused first and foremost on a Pokemon that could symbolize her drag name and style. Florges is categorized as the garden Pokemon, and this one would specifically be blue, which is a perfect representation of the hydrangea bush in her garden from which she got her drag name. Her second Pokemon is Galarian Rapidash, based on her Day at the Races runway from UK Season 1. This pairing could not be more obvious, given the horse head headpiece, and its Galarian form is a must for a British queen. Her third Pokemon is Roserade, based on her red carpet look for the UK's first season premiere. Colorful and beautiful flowers always come to mind when I think of blue Hydrangea, and this look is another wonderful representation of her drag style. The look is an upside-down bouquet, which fits Roserade's design perfectly for its bouquet flower arms. Her fourth Pokemon is Machamp, based on her Butch Queen runway from UK vs. the World Season 1. This is one of those looks that shows off Blue's campier side of drag. I mean, the upside-down bouquet dress is campy, but it can mostly be seen as a beautiful dress. This has a masculine style that also plays with androgyny, and it harkens back to the circus strongman trope that I think Machamp represents very well. Her fifth Pokemon is Goodra, based on her final lip sync for the crown look from UK vs. the World Season 1. I'm mostly focused on the pastel purple color palette of this look, but I also like how the material of this garment kinda looks like dragon scales. Goodra is an underestimated Pokemon that fills the role of the pseudo-legendary Pokemon that is typically on champion teams, which I think complements Blue very well. Her final Pokemon is Bruxish, based on her entrance look from UK vs. the World Season 1. Look at how colorful this outfit is. Then, let's appreciate how perfectly the color scheme matches Bruxish's super colorful design. This is one of those matches made in heaven, or rather, the Hall of Origin, because both this garment and this Pokemon are so campy and super colorful. I have no words. It just speaks for itself. Congratulations! You've beaten the champion and received the title for yourself. As you record your victory in the Hall of Fame, you hear stories of the previous champion. She called herself the Vivienne, a strong trainer with loads of charisma, a unique point of view, the nerve to be an almost unbeatable force in the Pokémon League, and a talent for Pokemon battles. Her style of drag tends to be very classy, which is apparent even in her drag name sounding like a royal title. Since she is from the UK, I made sure that her team was available within the Galar Regional Pokédex. This video is a bit of a tribute for this powerhouse entertainer, and I did my best for her Pokemon team to be just as respectable. Her first Pokemon is Indeedee, based on her entrance look from All-Star 7. I saw how the wig was shaped like horns, and I eventually gravitated towards this choice. Indeedee is typically a setup Pokemon in competitive VGC, which is why I also think the Vivienne would start with this Trick Room / Psychic Terrain setter. Her second Pokemon is Oranguru, based on her weird science runway from UK Season 1. While choosing her team, I kept looking at this high-concept runway, thinking about how I could incorporate it somehow. I saw Oranguru and thought it was perfect because of its jungle habitat, the grassy tropical elements in both their designs, and her very particular makeup. After the support Indeedee has left on the field, Oranguru would start dealing some heavy damage on the opponent. It's also a decent specially defensive Pokemon that could last a couple of turns before the real heavy hitters come into play. Her third Pokemon is Nidoqueen, based on her look for the Knight of 1,000 Dolly Partons from All-Star 7. If you've seen my previous videos from this series, you'll notice a tendency to give Southern Queens ground-type Pokemon. Viv isn't a Southern Queen because she's not from the US, but Dolly Parton is, and her impression of Dolly was the best of the bunch, in my opinion. Nidoqueen's color scheme goes well with this look, and it's a nod to how the Vivienne said she doesn't normally wear blue, even though ironically half of her runways on All-Star 7 were some shade of blue. Her fourth Pokemon is Jellicent, based on her Rainy Day Eleganza runway from UK Season 1. I asked my fiancé, Zan, which Pokemon he thought would suit this look, and he suggested Jellicent. The top of the hat, which is meant to look like a cloud, looked to him like the head of a Portuguese man-o'-war, and the beads, made to look like the raindrops, resembled the jellyfish's long tendrils. I really wanted to include a water type for this look because it's from the episode in which she won the advertisement challenge with her hilarious catchphrase, "I'm drippin'!" And she's drippin' in beads that are made to look like rain, as I mentioned before. I'm convinced that production saw this outfit and chose this runway brief for this specific episode because they knew that I would start a Pokemon YouTube channel where I gave queens from the show Pokemon teams, and that I would comment on this very video about this deliberate choice. I don't know what to tell you. The producers of Drag Race just know exactly what I need. Her 5th Pokemon is Hydrangea, paired with her Bond Girl Glamorama Runway from UK Season 1. As a pseudo-legendary, Hydrangea fills the role of the powerhouse damage dealer of the team that is typically seen in champion teams. I paired it to this look for the mulberry color palette that complements the inner fur surrounding Hydrangea's heads. The Vivienne draws inspiration from Vivienne Westwood, who is arguably a punk rock figure in the British fashion industry, and Hydrangea is a Pokemon that I would consider as meeting that brief. Her final Pokemon is Togekiss, based on her all glowed up runway from All-Star 7. This look showcased a beautiful set of glowing wings that made her to look like an angel. I settled on Togekiss for its white color scheme, and it's the closest Pokemon we have to an angelic design. I had chosen Togekiss for her on my All-Star 7 video, way before her passing on January of 2025, and it's one of those things where you think to yourself, how crazy of a coincidence this is.
Any chance I get to be an angel, I'll take it, because I will certainly not be going to heaven.
May the Vivienne's art be remembered and her legacy cemented in the Hall of Fame. What do you think of my choices? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more Pokemon content coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!